Welcome to the Michael Myers Minute, where we delve into the 1978 horror classic Halloween 1 minute at a time. I'm your host, Robert Black. We spend minute 28 in Laurie Strode's bedroom, inside the same house, 1542 Orange Grove Avenue in Hollywood, used for the interiors of the Wallace house. Side note, Jamie Lee Curtis's audition for this film consisted of this one-sided phone conversation. From the script. She answers it. Laurie, hello. Silence. Laurie continued. Hello? There's a sound from the receiver, like chewing. Laurie continued. Who is this? The chewing continues. She slams the receiver down. Let's try that again. There is a sound from the receiver like chewing. Laurie continued. Who is this? The chewing continues. She slams the receiver down. Halloween, of course, works as a distorted sort of version of the classic Babysitter and the Man Upstairs urban legend. I believe I've mentioned this once before. In one of his collections of urban legends, The Vanishing Hitchhiker, Jan Harold Brunvin cites folklorist Sue Samuelson, who studied hundreds of published versions of the Man Upstairs story, and, quote, concluded that the telephone is the most important emotionally loaded item in the plot. The assailant is harassing his victim through the device that is her own favorite means of communication. Babysitting, Samuelson points out, is an important socializing experience for young women, allowing them to practice their future roles imposed on them in a male-dominated society as homemakers and mothers. Significantly, the threatening male figure is upstairs, on top of and in control of the girl, as men have traditionally been in the sexual relationship. In killing the children who were in her care, the man brings on the most catastrophic failure any mother can suffer, end quote. I gotta interrupt to note, in Halloween, of course, we never see Michael go after the children, at all. Brunvin's assessment of Samuelson continues, quote, another contributing factor in the story is that the babysitter herself is too intent on watching television, or in Halloween too busy having sex, to realize that the children are being murdered upstairs. Thus, the tale is not just another scary story, but conveys a stern admonition to young women to adhere to society's traditional values, end quote. Almost immediately, the phone rings again. Laurie looks at it. It rings again. She picks it up. Laurie, hello? Annie, why'd you hang up on me? Laurie, Annie, was that you? Annie, of course. Laurie, why didn't you say anything? You scared me to death. Annie, I had my mouth full. Couldn't you hear me? Laurie, thought it was an obscene phone call. And I learned that obscene phone calling has a technical name. Telephone scatophilia, telephone scatologia, or my favorite, because it's just one long word, telephonicophobia. According to Psychology Today, 27th October 2017, telephonicophobia, quote, is a paraphilia that comprises overt or covert repetitive telephone calls with sexual and or obscene content to an unsuspecting victim. This behavior, which falls under the heading Other Specified Paraphilic Disorder in the DSM-5, has a high association with voyeurism or exhibitionism. From the Psychology Today piece, quote, in 1975, Dr. B.T. Mead developed an initial typology of obscene callers comprising three types. Type 1. These comprise telephone callers who immediately swear and or make obscene propositions and are typically adolescents. Type 2. These comprise telephone callers described as, quote, ingratiating seducers, end quote, that use a more flattering approach, saying they have mutual friends before becoming more offensive. Type 3. These comprise telephone callers described as, quote, tricksters, that use a ruse, example, pretending they are conducting a survey in order to discuss personal matters. This eventually leads to obscene and sexual suggestions, end quote. Which brings to mind the movie Compliance. Compliance is based on a phone call scam that happened in 2004 at a McDonald's in Mount Washington, Kentucky. A caller identifies himself as a police officer and convinces one employee to strip search another, and eventually that stripped employee performs oral sex on another employee because of this caller. calls like this had been going on at this point for 10 years, but this particular incident, recorded on security video, led to the arrest of a man in Panama City, Florida. The man, David R. Stewart, was eventually acquitted of various charges, including impersonating a police officer and solicitation of sodomy. While he had been found because of purchase records of a phone card, and another phone card tied to a similar call to a Burger King in Idaho Falls, Idaho, was found in his home, there was a lack of direct evidence. Compliance, a fictionalized version of the final McDonald's incident, stars Ann Dowd, Dreama Walker, and Bill Camp, and was written and directed by Craig Zobel. But back to Halloween. Annie. Now you hear obscene chewing. You're losing it, Lori. Lori, I've already lost it. In one of her commentary tracks for Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis says she thought Lori was not a virgin, however virginal she may seem. Additionally, a caption in Kim Gottlieb's photography book, On Set with John Carpenter, says, quote, "The girls in Halloween each represented different aspects of teenage girls. Jamie told PJ she wished she could play Linda. PJ said, we should have switched parts because I was more like Lori and she was more like Linda in real life." End quote. Still, Annie says, doubt that. Listen, my mother's letting me use her car. I'll pick you up. 6:30. We'll get back to why this time is important in later minutes. Lori, okay, bye. Annie, bye. Lori hangs up. Lori goes to the bed and lies down. Lori, to herself, calm down. And the minute ends. That is all for minute 28. The Michael Myers Minute is a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can see more content at lemmingdrops.com. You can stalk me on Twitter and Facebook at Myers Minute. Our Instagram has been particularly fun lately. That is Michael Myers Minute. Or join the Facebook listeners group, 45 Lampkin Lane. Subscribe. Leave us a nice review if you like what you hear. Until next time.
See you later. Bye. Bye.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?